Hello, I'm Gil Zilkha. Welcome to my channel. This video is taken from my larger video discussing the major symphonies, which is a follow-up to my previous video on the major symphonies. This one is covering the second grouping of symphonies. And if you enjoy this, I hope you'll take time to look at that larger video. Just know that you can click through it. It's divided into chapters to check out whichever symphony you're interested in. So I hope you enjoy it. And appropriately enough for symphonies, we are going to start with Beethoven. We have Ludwig watching the proceedings back there, so I'm going to be on my best behavior. We covered in the first video, we covered the 5 of the 9 that are generally considered the well-known and popular: the 3rd, the Eroica, the 5th, the 6th, the Pastoral, the 7th, and the 9th. So I'm going to start first with the first 2 symphonies. Now, as you recall, the Eroica was the one where Beethoven really expanded the form and found his individual voice. For some people, that was the birth of Romanticism away from classicism. Well, the first 2 symphonies are more reflective of when Beethoven, as a student, came to Vienna and began studying under Haydn. Particularly that first symphony shows, I think, the influence of Haydn. And there's also some Mozart mixed in there, I think even more particularly with the second symphony. Now, for these 2 works, my top choice is a conductor who was very good at both Haydn and Mozart, and that is Eugen Jochum. This is with the Bavarian Radio Symphony and the Berlin Philharmonic. These are both recorded in the late 50s. This is part of his complete cycle that was collected for Deutsche Grammophon. He did a later cycle with the London Symphony for EMI. But in this particular recording, these 2 symphonies, I think, really come out well. In my first video, Jochum was my top choice, actually, for Haydn's set of London symphonies. And what I think is really what Jochum particularly does well with this repertoire is there's warmth, but there's also this elegance and grace and humanity that really fits the music well. It's very charming and elegant. And in these symphonies, you really can't go wrong with that. So that's my top choice. I will cover a few of the individual recordings for 1 and 2, starting with number 1. And this is also from a complete cycle. This is Leonard Bernstein with the Vienna Philharmonic. This is part of his complete cycle. This was recorded in 1978. And as you recall, that's one of my top choices. I'm not a big guy on cycles because it always varies. Like in this particular cycle, I think the 5th does not show him at his best. I prefer the 1976 Amnesty recording of that. But otherwise, you have a great 7th, a great 9th, and in this case also a great 1st. And if you do want the individual recording, it is coupled with that 7th. And Bernstein also was very good with the classical repertoire, very good with Haydn and Mozart. I would say in this first, there's a little bit more of Beethoven oomph to it, a little bit more power. It's obviously a large sound with the Vienna Philharmonic, very warm, but it's got that Bernstein rhythmic energy as well, that vitality, and beautiful phrasing as well. So that's one of the top ones from his cycle. Now, if you do want a little bit more lightness of texture in the first, we also have Nicholas Harnoncourt and the Chamber Orchestra of Europe. This was recorded in 1990, part of his complete cycle, also coupled with the Eroica that I recommended in my first video. Now, Harnoncourt was not technically a period performance. This was actually modern instruments, so it's on modern pitch, but it's a little bit like Charles Mackerras. It's almost period-like. It's more transparent. It's a little bit faster with the tempos, and it's very elegant and very exciting. So that is an excellent first as well. Now, for the second, I want to recommend a recording that is a period performance. This actually was recorded in original instruments as part of a cycle. This is Roger Norrington and the London Classical Players. This was recorded in 1986. And this is one of the top choices from his cycle. The speeds are a little quicker. There's a lot of agility and dexterity. It's very exciting. It's a great kind of fresh way to hear the second. Now, one more for the second, though, and this is going back a little bit. This is going back to 1956. We have Sir Thomas Beecham with the Royal Philharmonic. Now, Beecham was one who he sometimes tended to have certain works that were Beecham favorites that really kind of fit him. He wasn't as big on those epic Beethoven works like the Fifth or the Ninth. He was a little bit more of the even-numbered kind of guy, although he did do a very good Seventh as well. But in particular, the second, which, as I mentioned, it's a very sort of Mozartian-sounding work. Beecham was wonderful in Mozart. You have that sort of elegance and the buoyancy that he brought, the beautiful phrasing in the slow movement, but there's also a good amount of power as well. If you want to really learn to love the second, Beecham is not a bad place to go at all, despite the slightly less modern sound quality. It's certainly not bad, though. It is a stereo recording. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you'll also take time to click the like and subscribe buttons. And with that, I want to wish you all a great day and happy listening.